Maddie.
Hi.
Brandon, I met you before, didn't it, Brandon?
Mm-mm.
Not yet.
It's a guy that looks like me though. Yeah.
Oh, honey, because I was like, I know him. Like, bro, there she go. No, she don't.
Nah, I'm in DC.
Oh, come on, DC. Gaye,
Okay,
there you go.
All
there we go. How you doing?
There it is. Didn't I tell you?
What?
No, I talked about you real good before you came that you was gonna come back on here with your shirt off. Honey,
No.
you see a cute boy on here, girl. You gotta be like, hey.
Wait a minute. First of all, this is my first time seeing him.
What he's still cute. Whether it's your first, second, or third time seeing the
Yeah, but
child.
you said it like I knew what he looked like before I signed
No,
in.
you
Is what I'm saying.
didn't. You didn't. But Keisha, here we
But I
are.
do know. But I did hear him say he's in DC. You know, that's my okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll be up there. I'll be up there.
Okay. Let
Oh my
me
God.
start the questions. So basically, how did the both of y'all meet and when did y'all begin working together?
So the Faggy had hit me up numerous occasions, honey, because I am the TS. So that means a lot. And for those readers out there who don't know who the TS is, get your life. But that means a lot. I've been on a trajectory for a very long time as being a just being visible in the community. And I never asked to be an advocate, an activist, or any other labels and shit that they done thumbtacked and stuck on me, refrigerator magneted on me. I'm just a bitch that turned her camera on and was documenting her whole life. And then the things happened. And so I was making waves through the internet, especially after I went viral from the viral clip. New weave, 22 inches. Yeah. And so there were so many people that had these from the ballroom culture, because there's my history with the ballroom scene. There's so many girls from the ballroom scene that was tearing me up like I had no coof and I had no morality because I was posting nude pictures, nude videos of me on the internet, and I'm like, honey, that's for y'all saw those videos because someone else posted them. I posted them in the spaces where they belong. I've always occupied the spaces where I belong. They decided that it was such a viral moment that everybody was posting it. The gay community, the straight community, the fish, the cunts, the trades, everybody was posting it. And so, the ballroom girls just was looking down their nose at me like, ew, like this is the way that you're gonna bring in representation to the community. And I didn't give a fuck about the community at the time. I'm being straight up. I didn't give a fuck about the community at the time because at that time it was about me trying to survive in this world and playing the deck that the cards were giving me. So I didn't give a fuck. And my didn't give a fuck persona spanned completely across the internet. And so there was a video where I was reading Sasha Sanchez, who I love to death now. I always loved Sasha even before the new week, because I'm from Florida. She's from Florida. So I was reading Sasha Sanchez to an Oblivion. I was reading her. I was reading a few other girls. I was reading every bitch that came from the ballroom sector that thought that they had the ability to serve me. I was tearing those girls up. And so I was tearing them up so hard, Craig was like, who is this girl?
Because I kept seeing her videos come prior to that. I kept seeing her videos come down my timeline on Facebook. And I was like, who is this girl? And then at some point, I realized that she was trans because she was saying something about it. I don't know what she said now, but I was like, okay. And then that video, huh?
So you can't remember what I was saying, Keisha?
Yeah, I don't remember if you said, I don't think you were saying I got dick at the bottom, titties at the top at that time.
I was letting them know, honey, that I'm the big dick bitch, honey. And if any bitch don't like it, that's on them. Because you hoes not paying my motherfucking bills. Bitch, and I was pointing to the paintings and things on my wall and saying, honey,
yeah.
So
she was walking through the house. And she was talking about the marvelous chateau. She was talking about I'm at the marvelous chateau. And I just always thought she was funny.
Right.
But I never knew where her we weren't connected on social media at all. So I never knew where her content. This was 2017.
2017?
This was like 2015. This is way
Oh,
before.
you know what? It was because I had put my first book came out, and I reached out to her about sending her a copy of the book. So
Okay.
the first book came out in 2012. This had to have been, it may have been like 2014, 2015, like she said.
2014.
Oh,
I
wow.
know
So
Yeah,
exactly
19
when
years
it was.
ago.
yeah, it was
It was about
2014.
14. Yeah.
So yeah, so we've known each other now 10 years.
Wow.
So what happened was I was never connected. We were never connected on social media, but I
Mhm.
kept seeing her videos come. It was different videos, but that one that she just described came down the timeline, and I said, let me message her. And so I messaged her and was like, I feel like your messaging is very similar to mine. It's different because of the way
Mhm.
that you communicate yours, but it's very similar to mine.
Mhm.
And so I said, I want to send you a copy of my book. Well, I never did. And so then probably a year went by or so, and she came down my timeline again.
Mhm.
And so I messaged her and I said, I never sent it to you. I want to get it out to you. So she sent me her P.O. box. And then at this point,
Well,
I had a
you left out a part. The reason why I was coming down
what?
your time. I was coming down your timeline again because I had linked up with the Raw.
Oh she and Kaya were
Mhm.
doing the Queen's Court.
Mhm.
And so I reached out to her and said, this is all through Facebook. I sent her a message and I said, I have this podcast and I'm about to get on to the second season. We're about to start the second season. Would you come on the podcast? And she said, oh, yeah, I'll come on. She said, let me link you up with my manager at the time. And she connected me to him and she came over. Like she literally drove to my place and came over. And that was the very first time that I ever went live because she said to me, because I told her I had written these books, and at the time I was really, really struggling. And I had like a closet full of books. I remember distinctly having 200 books. Oh no, I had 100 books in
Mhm.
that closet. And I remember thinking, that's $20 a book. I'm sitting on some money right here. I don't know how to move it. And
Mhm.
I remember her coming on the podcast and we were talking. She said, you need to use your personality to sell these books. And at the time, Facebook had those in video ads, and she was going live from after we did the podcast. She kept
Yeah, I
hitting
was
this
one of the.
button.
Yeah, I was basically one of the first people that Facebook did the. Well, one of the first
Mm-hmm.
people of color
Influencers and
and
yeah.
influencers and trans at the time that Facebook was rolling out, where you were able to press the dollar sign on
Mhm.
Facebook and you could put an ad break in between you going live. And so when I got to Craig's house, I mean, I was vlogging on my way there because bitch,
Mm-hmm.
once I found out that there was a feature outside of me having to run through my backyard saying new weave 22 inches, bitch, it was up from there. And
Yeah.
here's the thing. I don't want to make this about because it's about us, but this is still tying in.
Right.
Yeah.
I was letting those girls know, bitch, you girls never knew how to convert. You never had the ability to understand how to convert views into dollars. I've always
Yeah.
had that ability to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a gift that was given to me from the heavens because that's a part of my path, you know?
Yeah.
So I was tearing them up about that
She
because
was. I mean, she
they
was
were
getting these big checks then, right? And
bitch,
so after
big, big, thick evil check, honey.
and after we did the podcast, she said, look, I'm about to go on my live right now. She said, go on your live. And I'm like, go on my live? Like, what am I? And she was showing me how to go live on Facebook. And I was like, well, what do you talk about? And so we went live and I noticed that she kept pressing this button. Or not button, but kept pressing the screen when that ad break would come up. And
Mhm.
so she said to me, you got to use your personality to sell these books. That's how you're going to move these books.
Mhm.
And what happened was we sat, at the time I was still eating meat. I had cooked. And so we ate, we had some wine, we sat there and we laughed and we cut up. She ended up staying for probably about another hour or so after we finished recording. And
Mhm.
we just laughed and we cut up. And then probably we text. She said, here, take my number because I didn't have her number at the time. Remember, the manager had connected me. But by the time she left, she said, here, put my number in your phone. And so probably like I said, we're gonna stay in touch. She said, no, we are. And so then I think we text like a little bit that week, nothing heavy. And then she called me. I don't remember if it was a
Well, it
week or
was
two
listen,
later.
we had no, this is what happened. We text and we stayed in communication because the Queen's Court hadn't came into fruition at that time.
Right.
What had happened was Kaya came to my house and she talked about her and Janet Jackson. And this was in 2015. This was before the Queen's Court even came into fruition. So she came in, she started talking, she sat at the table over there, she started talking about Janet Jackson, you know, and that video went viral. Then we had another video together where she was talking about something else. You know, it went viral, like it just kept going viral and stuff like that or whatever. And what people don't really understand, bitch, that I'm glad that I get opportunities to tell these stories, is that when she sat down, she was the big reason why that dollar sign stopped coming up on my page. It was because of her. That demonetized my videos because she sat down there and she was doing and saying all the things. But I persevered with that because I was like, hey, this is my friend, you feel me? And I see that we have the potential to do something, you know? And so it wasn't even about the money. And that's why when all that shit went rocky and the places, and the where did it went, I was like, girl, you know this. You sit here, you go to the media, and you tell the media all these lies when you know that this is the shit that happened. And I remember instinctively telling Craig, because we were talking about this stuff afterwards because he was doing podcasts and I wanted him to come over here and helped us put a podcast. I was like, how? Because I was trying to figure out ways, how are we going to monetize the Queen's Court? And I was like, oh, my friend Craig has a podcast. Let me call him to help us put a podcast together. Now, this is a bitch will come through and tell y'all fiction. These are all facts. When I sat with Craig, I said, Craig, bitch, these girls have demonetized my video. I can't do the dollar sign thing no more on there because this girl done came over here. She done tore this thing up, done talked about all these people. She done said this stuff, and they demonetized me. How can we make a podcast what we do it to make money?
Now, is this a couple years after 2015, or is it still?
Yeah, no. This is like weeks later. Yeah, like weeks. It was like 20. Like we met. Then we did. Okay, the timeline is he wrote me, didn't ever send me the book. I wrote him back. I was like, "Girl, what a book." A year went by. Then after the year went by, 2015 came in. You understand what I'm saying? And this is like September 2015 because I remember because I was starting the second season of So Much to Say podcast, and she was the first episode of the second season. Yeah. And so she reached back out and was like, I want to set up this podcast. How much will you charge me to do it? And I said, well, I ain't going to charge you to set up the podcast because I'm a big believer that I just think that we have to know when to charge people for stuff and when to help people, especially as Black and brown people. Like, we have to be better about helping each other. I said, I'm not going to charge you to do that. So I set up the podcast. And, you know, of course, the Queen's Court ended up being on Spotify. But we didn't immediately do it. But we didn't immediately jump into it because we still me and Kyle were still trying to find our footing. Right, because they hadn't really been doing their thing yet, right? They jumped on there and did their thing, but it wasn't really like, you know what I mean? And so they got into their rhythm. And then I finally went over there and started to record it. The podcast was set up, but they hadn't released anything yet. Then I went over there and I started recording it. And then I would release it. And I think their podcast, you all were releasing that on a Friday, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it was on a Friday. And so I would release it. I would edit their podcast and I would release it on Fridays. And I started to see that they were slowly starting to unravel. And no, we weren't unraveling. We weren't unraveling it. Hold on, Craig. We got to tell the right because, you know, these people gonna be fishing for, because they're gonna be like, well, girl, there's so many people that were invested in that era. Yeah. They're gonna be like, no, because this what happened. No, this is what happened. She was coming here. We were going live. We would vlog here. We would do this. It had not became a show yet. Yeah. So we would go live on Fridays or Thursdays. Kind of like what we do with PHAG Tawlk now. We finding our rhythm. And so she had got me demonetized so bad to that they had not just took away the money, they had blocked me on Facebook.
And so I had a backup page, which I was going live from the backup page that was not monetized yet. They got that page blocked. And so I podcast already in place. We just hadn't launched anything yet. So I started saying, now, girl, what are we going to do to get this stuff streamed? And this was right after Keisha K. Orr. We had read Keisha K. Orr them to the ground. And this was exactly after this, because that queen that worked for Keisha K. Orr was working hard on getting my page locked up. And so I said, girl, we need to stream every time, every place, everrewhere. Because I was a master at that. That was my thing. I was a master at working on social media. So I bought a Mevo camera. Well, a friend of mine, a gentleman friend of mine. At the time, those Mevo cameras were stupid expensive.
Yeah.
I got a Mevo camera, and from the Mevo camera at the time, I had studied. It could broadcast simultaneously to all these different. And this is how we started streaming. This was before StreamYard.
Right.
Before
so she created the simulcast with this camera. So they started streaming on Periscope. That's when Periscope still existed. It was on YouTube. You know what I mean? So they were in multiple places.
Different channels, different distribution.
Yeah. So I was confusing the enemy. The enemy was out to try to target one page. So I was confusing the enemy because the enemy didn't know how, bitch, we was not going to keep getting blocked and flagged and all that type of stuff. Like, okay, this go down, you'll still see us here. This go down, we'll be right here, girl. We're going to always, at all times, we're going to be always moving part. It was the brains here. The brain. So the brains rolled over to the friend and said, girl, I can't monetize off of any of this because, bitch, I'm not making no money on YouTube because of the content, the way that the way that the content is. They demonetize those videos on YouTube. And so, girl, we got to do this podcast. We started recording the podcast. Craig was recording, editing, and all this stuff. Then we got into the rhythm of things. We started coming on every Monday night and the reason why I knew that it was we started doing every Monday is because that Monday night I had got my page back on Facebook, and I was like, boom! So it's Monday nights now at 8 p.m. Boom! So Craig would come over. We do the podcast, bitch. We would be tearing it up. And then the Queen's Court rose to be number 2 in comedian part. We were right under Joe Rogan.
Oh wow.
We came in the game and we sweep past everybody and was number 2 under Joe Rogan for weeks.
Yes. I remember that Christmas show. It was like almost 20,000 people watching live.
But for weeks. And then Craig was like, bitch. Graw. And then we started talking about, we had roundtable meetings.
Because they were getting bookings at that time.
Okay.
And there were club promoters that wanted to book her and Kaya. I remember they had a Rochester, New York date, but I remember it snowed and stuff up there. And so I think the show ended up getting canceled, but they were getting these bookings, these requests coming in. And I remember I was closer to Madison. I talked to both of them, but I was always closer to Madison. And I would say to her, girl, if these promoters are trying to bring y'all for X amount of dollars, just imagine if y'all did this by yourselves. And see, my background is, when I first moved to Atlanta, I was writing for a theater company.
Okay.
Right. And then I produced my own stage play. And I did the show here and sold it out here. But my goal was to always take it on a tour, city to city. And so I kind of saw this as my opportunity to be able to take a show city to city. And so what I didn't know at the time was that Madison was paying for everything, the cameras, the lights, the props, me, even me. Like they were paying me, they were supposed to be paying me weekly.
Girl,
But
girl,
she
you see
was.
how I move?
Oh, I see how you got up
I
and
had to
left.
go get me some water because it's getting real hot.
Right. So Madison was the one actually paying me to record the podcast and edit
Okay,
it and put it out.
Mm-hmm.
They were supposed to be splitting the fee, but Madison was paying for it. And so
Right.
I started to realize this is why Madison is pushing back in terms of taking the show city to city. Because I mean, like, here's this person who's saying, "Oh, I'm LGBTQ royalty," and you got this effect on the internet and social media. Like, surely you can sell out a venue.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, hell, I'm looking at the views. Like, it's 18 and 15,000 people watching y'all live.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know." But I didn't realize at the time she was going to be the one that was going to have to pay for all of the
All of
overhead
the
that would come with,
yeah.
that would come with touring. And so we never did it. And so I watched them take meetings with Tamar and Vince. That's when Tamar and Vince were still married. I watched them have conversations with Nicki Minaj. Like, there were so many opportunities that came for them, and they all would just kind of go to the wayside. And I never really knew, because again, Madison and I didn't really talk their business. So I didn't really know what was going on. I was just kind of observing for myself. And then I just realized, okay, she must not want to go to the next level.
Mm.
And I saw Madison had all of this vision and wanted to do all of this stuff. And and then, like, I don't know, it just started to slowly start to unravel. And then once Kaya was gone, I started tapping at Madison again. I said, "Girl, I think we should do this tour. I think we should do a tour." And she still was a little reluctant. And I understand, because again, it's your name. You know what I mean? And so I said, "Well, what if we start here in Atlanta?" And so I found a venue here in Atlanta, negotiated with them where we didn't have to pay anything to use the space. And then what happened was, and we still did it on a Monday because we knew that that was our sweet spot. And it also made sense because most clubs and venues, the lights out, they don't really have anything going on those days. And so any money coming in would have been great. And so we booked with this club here, and we sold that bitch out.
Yes.
That manager was calling my phone so often trying to get us to come. He wanted us to do a residency then with the Queen's Supreme Court. That's when it had become the Queen's Supreme
Now, was
Court.
this like around what, 2018, 2019 or so?
This was it had to have been 2019. It was definitely before the pandemic.
It was definitely 2018 because I came to one of y'all shows.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2018. Okay.
2018. Okay.
So yeah, so 2018
I
was
had the
in the first
VIP
show that we
package
did
and
was
everything.
Did you have a sickening time, bitch? Sickening.
I did. That was my first time meeting you in person. I still got our video on my Instagram page. So yeah, I loved it. It was
So wait,
fun.
where was that show that you came? Do you remember?
It was
It
in
was at
Atlanta.
Truth.
It was at Truth. Yeah.
At
True.
Truth. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so
Yeah.
that was the first show that we did. And then when those tickets sold out and videos and pictures were all over social media and that check came in, she was like, "Girl, where we going next?"
I did. But Craig, let's scale back a bit. You also asked me when we were sitting down talking about it, you were like, "Well, girl, this is right after the Super Bowl," because we broke up after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you asked me, "Well, girl, what you gonna do?" I said, "Well, I hope that there isn't no bad blood with me and this girl or whatever. And she's upset about whatever reason or whoever is blowing in her ear or whatever. I don't know. Because obviously it ain't nothing financial because I split everything 50-50, even when I was paying 100%. Whatever came in, even if I paid out 100% of something, I still split everything. I still split the profit 50-50, but I was still doing 100% of the cost.
Putting it in yourself.
Because I had a vision. You understand what I'm saying? I had a vision. And so Craig was like, "All right, girl, what we gonna do?" And Craig was like, "Well, child, you might as well, all those people all those people that you connected to, girl, let them come sit down. Let's just rotate the chair, And we've seen people do it before. We had saw other entities do it before. And so we was just like, well, let's rotate the chair. And so that's when Craig became like the showrunner of the show. And so we would still do the things he always tried to stay behind the scenes. He never wanted to come forward, never wanted to be seen, never wanted these things, you know, but we would have such a banter back and forth behind the scenes that, girl, you know, I was like, girl, you know what? Well, maybe he could sit here. And I remember this, Craig, like, even though we bouncing all over the place, because I know y'all got to plug it in here and there. Right. Remember that I think we did what year is that we did a something wrap-up show?
It was the end of the year. It was a December show. And what we did was we talked about all of the guest co-hosts that came on for that year. So we went through the YouTube channel and looked at all of the guests that were there, and we figured out who we were going to discuss and who we were going to talk about. And that was the one and only time that I sat on the bench. I don't remember what year it was, but it was I think it was the end of that first year that Kaya was gone. And we talked about it, and that video went crazy. But I never really cared to sit there. You know what I mean? Like, that was never my thing. And it just worked. And what I've realized is your audience will tell you what they want to see. You know what I mean? They'll communicate to you what they want to see. And so, I mean, we went our separate ways, and we would do our own work and stuff. But we would always come back and do stuff together. And even if we weren't working on the project, I would still talk to her about something that I was doing, or she would still call me about stuff that she was doing. Even like when she went and turned out with TS Madison. Like, a lot of people were like, people that we know were like, well, why aren't you working over there? But we would still be talking. Like, she'd be saying, well, you know, this is going on, or what do you think about this? Do you have like some video people or camera people? You know what I mean? Like, we still would always talk and like support each other, you know, whatever we were doing. But then it just kind of clicked. You know what I'm saying? Of course, the reality show came, and that really experience. Yeah, the TS Madison experience came.
And then I pulled Craig in on the TS Madison experience, and, you know, like my group of folks or whatever. Then that we had a season of that. And, you know, just so much stuff. And then just recently, you know, we were just talking about some stuff, and I do the Maddie in the Morning show. The Maddie in the Morning show.
I was about to ask about that. Did it basically, correct me if I'm wrong, did the Queen's Court kind of evolve into Maddie in the Morning?
Well, yeah, it evolved. Well, the Queen's Court evolved into the Queen's Supreme Court. And then the Queen's Supreme Court evolved into the Maddie in the Morning show. I created the Maddie in the Morning show during the pandemic because we couldn't get out.
Right.
And so remember, Madison, we were supposed to, I thought about this the other day, and I said I was going to talk to you about this, and I just thought about it again. Before, when she was coming up with ideas of doing a talk show, before she even came up with the name Maddie in the Morning, she was like, we should do a show called Before Lunch, After Dinner. No, After Lunch, Before Dinner.
I was like, after 12, before 6?
After 12, yeah. We came up with all these different names, and then we just never did. So that really would have been your first version of Fag Tawlk.
Of Fag Tawlk, yeah.
But we didn't end up doing it.
We didn't. And so the pandemic caused us to have to stop having all the guest judges. That's why we couldn't do the Queen Supreme Court show no more, because we couldn't have the guest judges come in. It just was a whole bunch of stuff. So that's why that kind of fizzled over there. And then, you know, I love being free enough to be on my platform talking about what I want to talk about. And I got my engineer, he's a heterosexual African guy. And we would just do, and we talk. And so when Mo talking about stuff, it's just like, Craig was over here, came over here to do something. I don't know, it was something, you know.
I don't even know why I came over there that day.
And then I was sitting at the desk, and I was like, Mo, you're not equipped for this. Honey, we about to, Craig, come over here. We need to have some Fag Tawlk.
Right.
That's exactly how that happened.
And that's how it started.
Mo, you're not equipped for this. You are straight. Craig, come over here. We need to have some Fag Tawlk. The fags need to talk.
Right. And then she said, right after that, she said, P.H.A.G, popular. We kind of played with that a little bit, and then it finally became popular hot ass gossip.
That's gossipers. You know what I'm saying?
Was last year?
No, this was a couple months ago.
Oh, this...
We haven't even been doing it that long. So as organic as she and Kaya started with the Queen's Court, where they were just on the live, that's how this did. Like, we would just I don't even remember why I was over there that day, but like she said, Mo said something. She said, Mo, you don't know nothing about this. We trying to have a little Fag Talk. And the audience just went crazy. And I mean, you saw the comments. They were like, And she said,
well, because at first,
P-H-A-G.
because they were saying first, like, Maddie, you can't say fag. I said, honey, I'm not talking about the fag section. I'm talking about the popular hot ass gospel. Bring your popular hot ass gospel ass over here. But, and this is gonna sound very narcissistic, but I don't care anymore about how people perceive me because these are facts. Mm-hmm. This is how creative and innovative I am in the moment. Mm-hmm. Because I'm always thinking about what is the next thing for me? And in the moment that happened, and then once we saw the response to that, we looked into like, bitch, what we gonna do?
That was it.
Because the comments were like, oh, y'all better trademark that. And we did.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the last, when we interviewed you and Funky Dineva, you referenced how fag talk is also kind of a reclamation of the term fag, you know.
Yes, and it's hyphenetically put to where, you know, we're not even using the fag term in the way we use the PH. Yeah, we using the acronyms. You know what I'm saying? So we were that's just the mind of TS Madison, you know. And then I got this whore over here like that's with it, like, yes, bro, let's do that. You know, that's just how it works. Like, yeah, just like when y'all came up with Gaye Magazine, Gaye Magazine, right. You know, when they was trying to figure out what it was, you know, you put the E on it and it takes away from gay. It's now it's gay.
It means more than just, yeah.
It's from it's now. It's gay. You know?
Yeah.
So I had an idea, and because the name is so it's still risque.
It's can be jarring.
It can be jarring, Craig. That's come on, academia. We still use Maddie in the morning because the premise of the show is Maddie in the morning, but this is the segment of that.
Okay, you know, I was going to ask about that too.
Yeah, because like to her point, it's like, and these are some of the conversations that we had behind the scenes. It's like, again, it's still evolving and all of that. And so the point of Fag Talk is, yes, to take the sting out of it, but not just the word fag. We say dyke, and I don't say it, but she'll say trainee.
I do. Bull dagger, trainee. Right. Trainee, because it's not about, trainee, but about, trainee. Yeah. Not trainee, but trainee, TRAINEE. You're in training. You know what I'm saying?
To be a woman.
What?
So we play on all of those words, and it's like, that's the intention. And so
it's satire.
It's satire, but it's intentional because it's like, we know that it's going to ruffle feathers. But it's also, we kind of liken it to, I don't know if you remember in Living Color, but they used to do all kinds of things that were just like controversial on there. And everybody would be talking about it the next day at work or at school or wherever you were, because they would say shit that was so politically incorrect, but it was funny. You couldn't deny it.
Mad TV too.
Yeah.
But Men on Film was our thing, honey. Because, you know, we taking a trip down to Greece.
Right.
You know, we as the fags, we as the gays, we knew what Greece meant. Like the gays in Greece, like, girl, it's the key. Even the straights knew, because the straights liken Greece to the gays. So we just take the play on the word, a play on a lot of the words that have been given to us as pejoratives. Yeah. And we take the power from that. And that was my whole premise of, like, I was like, I want to create a show where we take all the negative evil words, the negative, and we satire it, and we make that shit. We're polishing piss, bitch.
Right. and we wanted to talk about all of the things that people are only talking about in their small, quiet circles of friends at their house. Like, we're not talking about anything that groups of friends aren't talking about, but ain't anybody talking about that shit. Not the way we talking about it. Not all out here for everybody to see it. You know, and we've only literally been doing this now. It's only been a handful of months. And we're seeing similar views to what they were doing over there on the Queen's Court already.
It seemed like an organic evolution towards that, though. That's how I'm viewing it.
And interestingly enough, so many people think that we're scripted. They think we have a teleprompter.
Oh, no, y'all are like really quick on it.
So that's why. But part of that is because we're so much alike, and then because we've known each other so long, I almost sometimes know what she's about to say, and vice versa.
Yeah, no, I can tell. Yeah, you throw something at her, she'll throw something at you, and y'all make it better. It's like a synergy, like what I was saying.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Tiptoeing in my heels. But here's the thing. it's also because we're from a generation.
Yes.
There's not a generational gap in between us. He's a bit older than me. But
don't believe that, Brandon.
You are. But I am younger than you by a smidge. But you know, we can talk about it from different perspectives. And as much as our opinions and our beliefs are the same, we're so different. He's a butch queen. I'm a trainee. And so
Mo is straight.
Occasionally. But you know, see how you set that up, don't do that. My friend can't defend himself, he's not here. But I just like when we just got into some controversial stuff over the way that we deliver things wrapped around the stigmas with HIV, PrEP, PEP. Like they would listen, if you go on TikTok, there are millions of views of us talking about this. There are millions of views talking about like millions of views, bro. Like I was looking at this shit. Craig sent me something like, girl, that shit got 1.8 million, 1 million, 2 million, like millions of views from us just having conversations. I'm like, this is what we need in our community to have talks on. This is where it really is how it needs to be organic.
Yeah.
People are listening to organic conversations around things that they're scared to talk about.
Yes. Yes.
We're talking about anything that has anything to do with the Fagg. We talking about
it intersects with pop culture and gay culture.
Because everything in culture is Fagg. Trust.
And I feel like in a way it's filling the void because there's really no place you can go to for that real conversation. And y'all talk about a range of stuff. I was just watching y'all's video about Jared and Tyler. That's a whole nother, I have my thoughts, but that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, y'all talk about everything.
And we talk about it from the perspective of from a lived experience. We talk about it from a lived experience, like a lived game. Like I don't need no young queen coming in here telling me something about what she's just now learning. And bitch, I done been through this shit almost 50 years now. I done been through this, girl. What you're learning from a system that I kicked the door in for you to get it softer. You got the softer side of Sears, bitch. That don't mean that you having a soft experience.
Yeah.
You know, but you haven't. It was rougher, and just like the girls before me kicked it down so that I can have the experience that I had, and they lived to tell about it. So you know, it's just a lot of things. I challenge some of the younger generation stuff, especially when it comes down to like talking about things that I personally feel like that. I feel that we can get along as a human race better if we do take the sting out of stuff and just have a conversation. Craig sat there as a gay man and said, bitch, I had trans friends before, but bitch, I didn't learn anything from them because they were so scared to teach me.
Like
and there's this, and I think also just the fact that I'm a guy, she's trans, that in and of itself sends a message too. Because there's always been this cavern or this cavernous, this space between gay men and trans women. And so just by the mere fact of us sitting there as friends, I think sends a message as well to the community that it's okay to be friends with a trans girl.
You know it's all right to be friends with a butch queen because, you know, sometimes they can be messy, but it's okay. Girl, because don't think that I didn't feel you quickly gathering me by the back of my neck.
Just now?
Just now. I did feel you gathering by the back of my neck.
I was not.
Well,
and then,
I felt it.
And I meant to say this to you when we did the show the other day. I pushed back a little bit when you said, Craig was a little transphobic. And I was like, no, I wouldn't say that, but I thought about it because I had my own definition of what transphobia was. I was imagining it being like me personally mistreating someone because they're trans or inflicting some sort of violence or danger on them because they're trans. But no, when I processed what you were saying and I thought about it, I was like, no, that is transphobia. I was distancing myself intentionally. You know what I mean? And I wasn't trying to get to know and trying to understand. So when she said that in the moment, I was like, no, I don't think that's what it was. But then after I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah, it
transphobic
was.
is.
But here's the thing: you still have fragments of it in you. I mean, I have transphobic things too with me, because there are sometimes that I will call a bitch, I will misgender a bitch, but I do it because I'm in a reading mode. Like, you know, I'm not above reproach though. But here's the thing about it: even on the show, we take accountability for the things that we have done and said.
Yeah.
You can't lead and then don't lead by example.
Yeah.
You know, when there are things that I done said wrong, I'm like, girl, let me go back and check myself, girl. Come on in, girl. Like, girl, let me go back and check myself. Girl, I did and said this. Girl, it was wrong. I should have said this way. But this is all the stuff that we do on, and I think that because we get so many views, we understand that we have a responsibility. Because especially when it comes down to things, especially because it is imperative that we talk about the things in our community based around HIV and AIDS. It is important. And we have a straight audience. We have a straight audience. And so because we have a straight audience, it's important that they understand that it ain't just us, girl. It's not us. You know what I'm saying? Girl, get on your prep. Get on your prep. Girl, if you think you done been exposed, go down there and get you some prep. Go see your motherfucking healthcare provider. Don't be laying up there with that man, up there in the bed with that man, talking about he love me, girl, he only fucking me. You know, we talk very candid about stuff like this. Like, you know, here, get this wig, Myrtle, take this. We talk very candid about stuff. And like, there are women that write us. There are gay men that write us. There are people that write us, all the trans women that come in. Like, everybody gets in that comment saying, we love the engagements because we learn what you've learned from watching us.
And we've learned from them. Because when we had that whole conversation about the trans bathroom thing with the Planet Fitness, there were some people who identified as non-binary and trans who sent messages that really stuck with me and made me see things from their perspective too. You know what I mean? So I definitely don't think that
Are you now calling them they and them? Are you not going to?
I'm still not doing that. I'm going to call you by.
Are you still? So you're still not going to call them they and them?
I'm going to call them by their name. If their name is Keisha, I'm going to say Keisha.
Watch it, Sean.
But I certainly don't think that we're just the ones teaching, because I mean we're also learning from them, from the viewers.
It's a two-way type.
Yeah.
Now I got, before we go, I have just one more question. So what made the both of you do a live tour, and what are y'all looking forward to the most on the tour? I guess
well, we did a live tour because of the experiences that we had with the Queen's Court. But we wanted to have Queen's Supreme Court, yes. But we wanted to have a residency experience here, because one of my dreams, I'm just gonna say it, Craig. If there's any person that I'd like to pattern my career after, it is most definitely RuPaul Andre Charles. Because I'm a part of that system, and I get to see that system, the way that system thrives. That mother is a multimillionaire, and I'm going to leave this earth that. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to leave an inheritance for my family. But mother is a multimillionaire, and I watch how the system works. I watch it. That girl has a convention in her name. She has products. There are girls out there running that are making money, and she's making a percentage from those girls because they're using her name. You understand what I'm talking about? And then she has a residency in Vegas. So I was like, well, I want us to have something that people look forward to when they come to Atlanta. Like, if they come into Atlanta, like wherever they come from, I want people to look for, like, girl, I'm going to the Marquette. I'm going to the motherfucking and I'm going over there to see I'm going to get us some motherfucking Maddie in the morning, because I know the PHAG Tawlk gonna be live as hell. You know, I want to be a staple, or a just like when the girls used to come do the Monday night show. Like, everybody knew about the Monday night show.
It was something to do.
Right.
It was an attraction.
I wanted to be a part of that, like to be a part of the something to do, like giving the girls, giving the gays, giving the straight, giving the people some form of entertainment they're gonna laugh, love, and learn by the time they leave us.
A built-in, like, haven of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah. A safe haven, right? Honey, you can come down there and be a bulldog all you want to. You come down there and you want to say fag, you can, bitch, because ain't nobody in here feelings hurt, girl. You want to be a trainee? Come on down here, come on down here and let us see what you done been a trainee doing.
And it's all for you.
Yeah.
And Craig, what are you looking forward to the most?
I always look forward to the audience engagement. Like, I just love meeting the audience. Like, at the end of the show, first, like when you first come out and they all excited, and then it's the end when they're so grateful to have been at the show. They want to take pictures, and I just like seeing people have a good time. You know what I'm saying? Because most of these people that come to see us, they coming from other places. Even when we went to do Nashville, we went to Nashville. We went to Nashville. But the majority of that audience, they were from other places. They weren't even from Nashville. And so our thought is, if we do a residency here in Atlanta, we can draw the people here to us, you know, and they can get a great show and get a great travel experience, and then just going back home.
And listen, like energy.
Listen, if the energy is great, but the people that write us back even days later and be like, do you know how my week how that launched my week? Like how my day went the next day, how I was so vibed at work. I went and drank all night, but bitch, I had so much fun that I had so much energy the next day. I laughed, I learned, you know, and that makes me, Craig, that makes the whole team feel good because it's just like we feel that we're doing some type of purposeful work.
That's healing. That's healing.
And I can't even begin to tell you the amount of parents who embrace their children, their queer children, whether they're trans or gay or whatever, lesbian, because they fell in love with us. They open their heart to their own children.
That's something to think about.
Yeah.
So before I close, is there anything else that you guys want to say about the PHAG Tawlk, the segment, the residency, things that anyone else should know?
Don't take that shit personal. Don't take none of it. Don't take none of that shit personal. Just get up, you know, do you, because what's for you, you'll never miss it. And bitch, come on out to the damn show, honey, and get some energy and some inspiration.
Laugh, ponder on some of the stuff that we say, and move on.
And that's it. Yeah. And apply it to your life, because we be talking about some real life shit. And we be tearing people up, we be wearing them out, but we don't go in there with these notions. We go in there with except for Craig sometimes, we go in there with a little bias, you know, but we also try to get to the root of it, like, girls, some critical thinking. Just do some
It's not malicious. It's not malicious.
Right. It's never intended to be malicious.
It might be a little vicious, but it's not malicious.
Not malicious.
Correct.